Welcome everybody to another episode of the EVP podcast. I am one of your hosts, Beaker.
I'm another host, Ghosty.
And I'm the next other host, DVO. Welcome
to the EVP podcast. Podcast. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the show.
You guys want to hear an interesting story?
Nope, I hate interesting stories.
Shut up.
Yeah, me too.
Do tell. Does it involve? Yeah.
No, but yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I was listening to another podcast.
How dare you?
I know.
Why do people act like that's a bad thing? If
Good
we recommend other podcasts,
I never heard people say that. As
My
a bad
old
thing.
show, they did that.
Because they're haters.
Yeah, they're haters.
Well, one person was a hater.
They drank their hater raid. Okay, sorry.
But I was listening to another podcast. It's actually, oh gosh, what's the name of the podcast? It's anyway, it's hosted by Tom Papa, hilarious comedian. You guys should check him out.
Comedian. And yeah.
Love Tom Papa.
Yeah, I'll definitely check out that podcast you don't know the name of.
Gosh, just hit Tom Papa.
Tom Papa.
But do you guys know Leslie Jones? She was on SNL.
Yes.
I don't watch that
Yes.
show.
She's also very hilarious.
She was the Ghostbusters, right?
She's on Ghostbusters, the remake of Ghostbusters.
Which one was she?
Flat top.
Yeah, she's got a flat top. And
No, I just remember Melissa McCarthy and Kristen Wiig.
And there's two more. I don't remember their names either.
Well, you just said one of them.
Leslie Jones, yes. Breaking Bread with Tom Papa. That's the podcast. And Leslie Jones was on, and she was talking about the Bermuda Triangle.
And then?
It's an interesting story.
And then she mentioned our podcast.
What's that?
Then she mentioned our podcast.
Yeah, she's like, I was
obviously,
listening to the EVP podcast.
it's funny because her and Tom both went on a rant about the EVP podcast and how big fans they are.
That's about right.
And how we were talking about the Bermuda Triangle in a couple episodes, and then Leslie said, I've got a Bermuda Triangle story. So, thanks for listening, Leslie and Tom.
We're
Appreciate you guys.
self-proclaimed famous.
Yes.
We've decided.
Well, this is a story about eels.
Eels.
Besides that they're delicious, what else do you guys know about eels?
Unagi.
They're
Yes.
slippery.
They're very slippery.
They're
made of batteries.
Well, did you know that we don't know how they procreate?
What do you mean we don't know?
This
how
is
they
old
we
news.
don't know.
This is old news.
I know. I didn't say it was breaking news. I just said
don't
share a
know
story.
how they procreate.
No.
I only know
They
this-
swim into the Bermuda Triangle.
They don't have reproductive organs.
So they swim into the Bermuda Triangle, and then a whole bunch more eels come out.
I actually saw this on TikTok like a month ago.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Interesting,
It was
right?
like one of those science facts that blows your mind or something.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, they don't have reproductive organs.
What
They
about other
swim-
eels that don't go to the ocean?
They all do.
They all go to salt
That's
and
the
fresh
worst.
water. They go in salt and fresh water.
Yeah, they're like the only amphibious.
So they're
aquatic
hatched.
animal that goes salt and fresh.
Yeah, they're basically hatched in salt water, then they go up into fresh water.
And they're being hatched out of the Bermuda Triangle.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Out of the black hole that's in there?
Out of the Bermuda
That
Triangle.
underwater volcano.
The spookiness of the
The
triangle.
gas.
No,
Your alien beacon.
It's
They
going
drawn to
crazy.
the alien
See?
beacon.
it's
See?
going crazy.
They have
More interesting stories about the Bermuda
They have the
Triangle.
ill sex.
Yes.
What? I just thought eels just shot babies out. Like,
Yeah, I think they've dissected eels and stuff like that, and there's no reproductive organs.
They don't know how they do.
they've never found a pregnant eel, never found eggs or
They're
live
baffled.
bird.
Yeah, it's a
It's
science. Science
another mystery, an unknown mystery of the Bermuda Triangle.
Dun dun dun.
All eels, like every eel from every
I
corner
don't
of
know
the
about
world.
I don't know about that, but
The ones that go to the Bermuda Triangle.
the ones that go to the Bermuda Triangle.
Just those ones.
Just those ones.
That go to the Bermuda Triangle. Which is all the eels from everywhere.
That's what I want to know. Every
Leslie,
eel
don't
known to
stop.
man.
This is not the episode for that.
Stop asking hard questions.
I want science
I'm
and
just
I want it
telling
now.
We just want you to blindly follow what we say, damn it.
Make me a meme and I will.
I'll follow
Mannis.
me.
Yeah, I'll believe a meme all day.
Eels have triangle sex.
Have you heard that eels have triangles?
What? Shout out from the mountains.
Oh,
Everyone
yeah.
shared this. Can I get a, oh yeah.
And I get it. Yes. Oh yeah.
Eels and their love triangles with themselves. Interesting.
That is good to know. I'm going to use that facts
That's
for future
useless
reference.
information that you have now.
I have so much useless information. I'm adding that to the bank.
Beaker, you have a story to share.
I do.
Another different story.
Yes.
It's about eel sex.
It's not about eel sex.
It's about
Can we turn it in?
sex.
Can we turn it into eel sex later?
No.
We'll find a way.
We probably could, but I don't know that we should.
Oh, okay. All right.
So
okay.
this story, actually, I talked about it briefly at the end of the last episode. This story is kind of a continuation from, her name is Josie. She told me we could use her name.
Hi, Josie.
So she had actually, we talked about her on a previous episode where she talked about her experience with sleep paralysis and possible alien sighting. And so she actually emailed us again about a month ago. We're getting into it now, just we finding time to work it into one of the shows. So she basically says, and I may or may not read this all for verbatim. It is kind of a long email, but basically,
Which we do appreciate, by the way. We do like more
Yes.
information, more details, the better.
Yeah, we do love hearing your stories. So before we get into this, if you do have a story that you'd like to share with just the three of us, or if you'd like to share it on the air, or have us share it on the air, you can reach us at evp.pod@gmail.com. We're also at evp.pod on the social medias of Instagram and the Facebook.
Yes.
You can message us there as well. So Josie says her experience began when she was about 14 years old. Her and her family had recently moved, and she was kind of into the goth style, and she loved hard music, dark clothes, chains, and accessories. Now, not knowing what she knows now, she thought that being goth, you must be all about Satan and his dark endeavors. So she thought she would be cool and accepted by the fellow goth peers if she were to draw some satanic symbols. Now, one evening, she had a friend over, someone that she, I guess, was an extreme kind of like a Molly Mormon type, and if you don't know what that is, it's just someone that's like...
Goody two-shoe.
Yes, goody two-shoe. She saw that she had drawings and begged for her to get rid of them, and to appease her, she agreed and threw the papers in the bin and then lit them on fire for dramatic effect. Little did she know that the scene would be the beginning of the series of events. Now, she says the following events that she's listed, because she's trying to recall what happened, and this all went on for about 6.5 years, that some of this stuff might be out of order. But she says sometimes the experiences were frequent, and other times it was months would go by with nothing. Now, she says this is important. Her room, as she mentioned, was in the basement, and her room was very small, and it had a closet, but it wasn't an actual closet. It had the furnace and a water heater / softener in there. It had a light, but you couldn't turn it on by switch. It's one of those old ones where you had to reach in and pull the string to turn it on. And the string apparently was not that long. It was only about an inch. She has no idea why it was long. She hated it, and she would have to stand on her tiptoes and stretch her fingers to reach this cord to turn the light on. She says it didn't happen right away, but it suddenly got colder, specifically in her room. She said she had to have 4 blankets and a heating blanket to keep warm even during summer nights. She'd also wake up in the middle of the night to what sounded like scratching on the walls, She never thought twice about these things. At first, she thought that maybe she hadn't noticed how cold it actually was in the basement, and that maybe this newly built house just had was unfortunate to be having mice in it. She says these are all very plausible things. Having a dark entity come into my life never crossed her mind at the time, or in her life. I guess one day she had gone down into her room to find the closet door was wide open and the light was on. This wasn't at all unusual, considering it had most of the home's resources in there. She went to ask her mom if whoever was doing that was ever in there and done it before, and she said she even bothered turning off that light only to hear that no one had gone in there. So basically she asked, had anyone gone in there? Is this like a common thing? And her mom basically said, no one's gone in there. So she turned it off and thought maybe her mom just didn't know. And she had forgot about all about the incident until one night when she woke up from her cat growling. She opened her eyes and the cat was on the bed next to her, but she was tense and staring toward the closet. And when she looked, she noticed a glow coming from the other side. and the light was on again. She grabbed her cat and went and slept on the couch. And the next morning, she told her grandfather about what had happened, and he went down into the room and prayed for about a half an hour. She said this helped for a while. Every now and then, every now and then, the spirit or entity or whatever was in the room would kind of do something to remind her that it was there. She said one of the scariest moments during this time was when she was in the 11th grade. She'd gotten a really bad cold, the worst cold of her life, and she just got out of school and wanted nothing more to go home and get into bed. So she got home. She said she stumbled downstairs, looked at her bed, and she heard a voice say, "No, go upstairs and lay on the couch." And so she did, and about an hour later, I guess she woke up to her mom screaming her name. She got up, walked to the stairs, and smelled smoke. And when she got to the downstairs, she found out that her electric blanket had been left on, and her bed caught on fire.
Whoa.
From investigation, it was determined that the heating blanket malfunctioned, and she doesn't remember ever turning it on. She didn't want to sleep in her room for a long time after that, and she slept either on the couch or at her cousin's house. And she says, yes, I slept on the couch at the time. There was one time that her brother and her were hanging out in her room, just talking, when her dresser was suddenly pushed about 2 feet.
Whoa.
When they stared at it, and she asked him for a validation, he confirmed, and they quickly resumed their conversation, trying to pay whatever it was no mind. So basically, they just tried to ignore.
Yeah, out of sight, out of mind.
Yep, pretty much. So shortly after that, she had her sleep paralysis episode that we had talked about, and that's when her nightmares began. They only happened while she was sleeping at her house, and it was always the same. She was in a dark cavern, being chased by a horde of demon-like creatures. Then a woman would appear from the crowd, ash skin, black eyes, and tar-like hair. She would start attacking her, stabbing her in the stomach, and then she would wake up screaming and fighting. Then when she found out she was pregnant, she was practically living at her aunt's house at this point, but whenever she would go home to do laundry or whatever, as soon as she would get into the front door, she'd get that stabbing pain in her stomach and she would vomit. Everyone who witnessed this and knew what she had experienced urged her to move out, which kind of brings that story to an end. So, once she moved out of that house, whatever that was ever bothering her just kind of stayed there. And I don't know if there's any resolution, because that's pretty much the end of the story.
Interesting.
So I don't know if they're still living, if anyone's still living in that house that she knows of, or whatnot. But apparently that's when she moved out is when she stopped having issues.
That's interesting.
But that's a really fascinating story.
Yes, it is.
And I thank you for sharing this with us and allowing us to share this with for everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, some of the things she mentioned, I was like, I can see that. You know, are there mice in the walls? Was it just bad insulation that causes draftiness that no one really realized until you actually spent a lot of time down there? You're like, oh, she's kind of cold down there all the time. So I can kind of see where she mentioned that, you know, possible debunking. The dresser moving 2 feet.
The dresser moving, and then the heating blanket is something that it could have been accidentally left on. But
the night before or something.
But it's when she got home and she heard a voice saying, "Go upstairs."
Yes.
Like it was a spirit guide or someone there looking out for her.
Mm-hmm.
Like
you
knew
told
that
her
something
to
was
turn
going
off
to
the
happen.
blanket.
She would like turn off the blanket.
Maybe.
I'm just kidding.
But apparently they just warned her to go upstairs. So.
Yeah, leave the blanket on. Get some insurance.
Because she was sick and she was very tired, so maybe
Right.
she wouldn't have been able to. Maybe whoever told her to go upstairs didn't think that she'd be able to kind of comprehend or whatever.
Right.
Maybe they just thought going upstairs was the easier option. So I mean that is pretty cool. It's nice to know that you had someone looking out for you.
Yeah. I'm glad she got the validation that it was her brother that was with her.
Yeah.
Saw the dresser.
Yeah, I mean that's significant for me. Like if it's moving, I mean I know you said 2 feet. Maybe it's hard to judge. Even if it was 1 foot though. Wow.
I mean,
And then
dressers
your
are
brothers
not
heavy,
small.
yeah,
They're
they're
pretty heavy.
Yeah.
So for it to move even a foot, like you said, that's quite the amazing feat.
I mean, if I was there and I saw it, that's all. That's it. That's all you can move it, huh? Puss.
Well, yeah, you would now, but this was when she was like in high
I
school.
would not. I would have freaked out.
No, I would have ran out, just like I always
Nope,
did.
I would have.
Every time.
I would have ran out. I would not have said anything.
Okay, Zach.
Well, thanks for sharing. That is a nice story.
Yeah, we really appreciate you sharing your story. It was a very like it's a fascinating story, and like I'm sorry that you had to go through all that. And I wish I wish that we were doing this back then. We could have helped you out, but I'm glad that things are good for you now.
Yes. And if you have any situations like that where you're scared, feel free to reach out to us. We can do our best to help investigate and find answers for you.
Alright, so now let's talk about what is the episode about today.
So this is something we've briefly talked about in a couple previous episodes on the Haunted Museum and the Return of the Haunted Museum. And I went back and listened to the Return of the Haunted Museum, and we briefly touched on it. We didn't really talk about it a whole lot.
No.
You guys did have a chance to actually investigate this item, and we're talking about the supposed most haunted object in the world, the Dybbuk Box.
Dun, dun, dun.
So, for those of you that don't know what a Dybbuk is, I did mention on the previous episode that a Dybbuk is basically a Jewish demon. But after doing some more research, I'm not so sure that that's the case anymore.
Okay.
Well, yeah, Dybbuk doesn't mean demon. It means like a unattached spirit.
Yeah, it basically means to cling. Dybbuk is like a Hebrew word. And that's the other thing I noticed. I'm like Jewish writing, it's Hebrew. I'm a dumbass. So basically, it's Hebrew for like to cling or something like that.
Okay.
So what I guess in Jewish folklore, the Dybbuk, in some websites I was reading, they say it was possibly a demon. Some say it's basically just a wandering soul of a deceased person that had like unfinished business.
Okay.
And they basically like cling or attach themselves to somebody until one, they either finish whatever business that they're trying to finish, or they're go through some sort of exorcism and they're removed, the attachment's removed. Now, if it is a demonic spirit, yes, it possibly can possess somebody.
Okay.
If it is a human spirit, from my experience and my knowledge, this is from what I believe, being a human spirit cannot possess another human spirit. From what I understand. And I could be wrong there, but that's just what I've been told.
Unless you're Patrick Swayze. He has a pass. Patrick Swayze gets a pass.
Yeah, he sure does, because he makes it play pop.
Well, Whoopi let him in. Whoopi's like, come on, get in some of this, Patrick. Up in there and it's all, let's touch some Demi Moore.
Another story of a Patrick.
Another Patrick. Another beautiful Patrick.
Yes, but unfortunately he's deceased.
He's a real ghost now.
Is he beautiful or what?
All the Patricks are beautiful.
Patrick Stewart?
Yes.
That's a beautiful man.
Yeah, he is.
Bald is beautiful.
Make it so. So, yeah. Another thing that I read, and I thought you guys might find this interesting, because when I mentioned on the other episode where I felt like the Dybbuk was more kind of like interested or wanted to go after the women in the room more.
Yeah.
Some of the things I read basically kind of agreed with that. So this one article says, most frequently the unfortunate person whom the Dybbuk possesses was a woman. And I found this out today doing some research, and it just kind of validated that feeling that I got. That Dybbuk usually targets women.
So, I went back and watched the movie The Possession today.
Okay.
Now, thinking back on the movie, every single person that seemed to be affected by it was all women.
And that movie was based on a Dybbuk box.
On the Dybbuk.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So for those of you who don't know, Possession is a 2012 movie. Both the owners, the main owners that you hear about on this Dybbuk box, and their names, I'm drawing a blank.
Mannis and
Kevin, Mannis, and Jason Haw.
Yeah, it's on H.
Jason, whatever. Those two guys. They actually consulted.
Haxton.
Jason Haxton and Kevin Mannis. They actually consulted on this film. And I believe the Dybbuk Box has been the topic of a couple other movies. I don't remember the names of those right now. But the main one was The Possession in 2012. And yeah, I'd have to go back and watch that. But I know that the main person that gets the box and it focuses on
is the little
girl.
But do you remember in the very beginning when they have that yard sale, she gets it because the old lady who it starts off with her staring at it, and all of a sudden she just
Oh,
starts getting
yeah.
contorted and thrown
Yeah,
against the
yeah,
wall,
yeah.
and then she's like, she didn't die from it, but her son is like selling off all her belongings, most likely gonna put her in a home. I don't know, but anyways, the family of that little girl finds that they're selling all her stuff, and the little girl finds that and wants to take it home, and the old lady's in the hospital, like not in her bed, like hospice style, looking out the window, seeing that little girl with the Dybbuk box, and she slams the window, no, all bandaged up and messed up from getting bloodied and beat up by the Dybbuk box. So this part was crazy in the movie, was that these women, I think it showed a couple different women in the movie get seriously injured. One got killed, one got seriously injured just from being near the box. And then you like contort and get thrown against the wall, and yeah, that part was just like, come on.
Yeah.
This is like, so anybody near the box and just like crushing people and throwing them against walls and shit. Although it did have a lot of energy coming off the box, which we got to investigate and see all the energy coming off the box, and it's still
You're talking about real life.
in real life.
Dybbuk Box. Yeah, the one
Yeah.
that's currently located in.
But I mean, the same one that they're talking about in the
Yeah.
movie though, being able to investigate it and see that there is a lot of energy on it, and it can put off a lot of energy is really cool, but not crinkle you up in a ball and throw you against a wall kind of energy.
Yeah.
You didn't piss it off that day.
Should we have?
No.
Should have touched it.
You can't.
Touch it. No, you
Behind
can't now
glass.
because it's behind like a box, a glass box, and
Yeah.
a bigger glass
With
box.
salt rings and sage.
Hebrew written on the glass.
Yep.
I do know that I talked to Brandon
Zach.
about it a little bit. I talked to Zach too.
Of course.
But whatever they did with that, it has contained it very well. And I'll just straight up say, like right now, that it is a haunted object. There is a spirit attached to it, and from what Brandon could tell, it was not human.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure most likely when they start off making Dybbuk Box, like you said, like they were for attachments and stuff like that. But sometimes attachments could be like a type 3, like a non-human spirit.
Yeah. And so what I thought was interesting, I was watching this YouTube video of this girl that was complaining about the whole Dybbuk Box thing and how it doesn't make sense because a Dybbuk possesses people. And yeah, that's true. And she's like, well, if it possesses people, then how is it trapped in a box? And it's like, clearly you don't understand how the paranormal works. Because, like, take Annabelle, for example. Like, it obviously was trying to possess a human, right? But it's attached to a doll. So I don't know that it's like the doll, I don't know that the Dybbuk Box is possessed per se,
Right.
but
it's just contained.
it's attached. It's
Yeah.
attached to the box.
Well, I think it's
Locked
not that
in.
it's attached to it; it's trapped inside of it.
Encased in it.
I think it is now with all that stuff they put around it.
Well,
No, the real story about this, the lady that owned it before she sold it to Mannis, or however that worked out. But 'cause I remember, didn't she in the story? Didn't she say, be careful, there's a Dybbuk inside?
Yes. So he bought it from the granddaughter. So the story goes, he bought it from the granddaughter of a Holocaust survivor.
Mannis, right?
Yeah, Mannis.
Yeah.
The Holocaust survivor named Helvelia. Apparently, she escaped from Nazi-occupied Poland, and then went to Spain, where she got the box, and she lived to be 103. And I guess they were having like an estate sale or something. She only brought like 3 items from Spain over to the U.S. with her, and the Dybbuk Box was one of them.
Which was a wine case.
Yeah, it was a wine case.
I'm guessing for picnics or taking them to travel, I guess. I don't know. I'm not sure what a wine case is.
yeah, I think that's what it's for, like picnic wine.
Yeah.
Yeah, good old picnic.
Or if you're
wine.
going to like a someone's house for dinner and you just want to bring a bottle of wine, I guess you carry it in a wine case.
So yeah, like you said, when he bought it, I guess the lady said, "Oh, I see you're buying the Dybbuk Box," and apparently Mannis.
So she named it.
She named it. So I guess he said he wasn't familiar with the term, but they basically told her or told him that you always need to keep it shut to never open it.
Because there was a Dybbuk inside.
Yes, because there's a Dybbuk inside.
So the name Dybbuk Box isn't really referring to the box itself, but actually that there's a Dybbuk trapped inside of a box.
Yeah, basically because it's a wine box.
But it can be any kind of box.
It could be any kind of box. I've seen an actual, but So that Dybbuk box at the museum was actually the second Dybbuk box I've ever seen. The first one was actually a small, like, cigar box that had, like, wax sealed all over around it. The guy that made that, like, got freaked out by what he made, so he actually sent it to my friend Jimmy in California for her to hang on to. So I guess the whole idea behind Mannis buying this box is he was going to restore it and give it to his mom for her birthday, which he did.
So I told him, don't open it. And he said, I'm going to open it.
Yeah. So there's pictures online of him opening it. There's pictures online of Jason Haxthorne opening
Haxton.
it. Haxton. There's pictures of him with it open. Haxton even had like a replica of the box made.
This is what I don't get. When they open it and let it out, how are they able to like contain it back in there? Is it just like hanging out and staying around?
This is where I'm confused because when
If I got trapped in
Unless
there,
it is attached.
when Mannis gave it to his mom actually opened it.
Mm-hmm.
And she said she felt a cold chill and she felt what she described as pure evil coming out of the box.
right.
And shortly after opening the box, she suffered a stroke.
Mm-hmm.
It was shortly after that, I guess, he decided to sell it on eBay. The person that bought it from him only had it for a few months, and then reposted it on eBay, and then it got into Jason Haxthorne's hands. And he basically took the box, put it in a military-grade box, and then buried it in his yard. And it stayed underground for like 10 years or so. Reports are that anyone that came in contact with the box would have problems with their eyesight, they would feel violently ill, and they would like feel like they're choking, and they would just have other symptoms and stuff that would happen for people that came in contact with this box, which is why the Jason guy buried it in his yard. And then eventually this thing ended up in the hands of Zach Bagans.
For an undisclosed amount of money.
For an undisclosed amount of money, yes. And when they gave it to him, don't play that stupid thing.
Ghosty don't play that.
Ghosty don't play that.
That's the interview of Mannis's mom talking about when she opened the box. So watching it's like Zach Bagans, the Ghost Adventures like Deadliest Possessions. And actually, they have Kevin Mannis and Jason Haxthorne on
Haxton.
there. Haxton. I'm going to say Haxthorne every time.
That's okay.
I'm just going to call him Jason. Jason, actually, they show him walking in giving Zach the box and talking about the box and explaining, like, this is how I know that he, like, buried it and all that in that military grade case. And then they bring Kevin in and Kevin talks about his experience with the box. And then it gets to the point where they have the box down in the basement. And this is before they redid it to the way it is now, because this was 2016.
Okay.
They have Kevin go down into the basement by himself. And they tell him they had him bring a trigger object to see if it would interact with this trigger object. And the trigger object looked like a little box with like a tree and roots underneath it. And they set it on top of the Dybbuk box. And right off the bat, Kevin opens the box right there.
Oh, okay.
Which is why it baffles me about the whole quarantine episode of opening a box, because it's been open in the museum before. Because that's literally the first thing this Kevin guy did, was open the box. And they even point that out. Like, he's like, oh, he just went straight for it and opened it up. And then he starts acting all weird, right? And he goes and faces the wall. And then he starts quoting this weird thing. He just starts spitting out these words, right?
Okay.
And it's confusing Zach and Aaron and everybody that's watching, because they're watching from the security camera.
Okay.
And he just starts saying all this weird stuff, and they don't know what the hell's going on. They think he's like saying some incantation to like bring the spirit out of the box.
Okay.
So they go down and get him and bring him out, and he's like, I just felt really anxious around the box. I didn't like being around it. And then that episode kind of just, they take it to a synagogue. They take it to a rabbi. And they're asking the rabbi about the box, and they're like, what do you know about the Dybbuk box? He's like, just the same thing everybody does that you can find on the internet. And when you're watching this, they have the Dybbuk box there open in the synagogue, open, like I said. And the two guys are standing next to it, and Kevin Mannis just starts coughing uncontrollably. and you can see that he's sweating, and nobody else in the building is sweating.
Huh.
Keep in mind, Kevin is a larger man too, which, in my opinion, could cause huge. So they like break for him to get water, and Zach literally like this part of the episode ends with Zach saying, "I'm worried about the way you guys talk about this box and the way that you guys are fascinated with this box," and then it literally ends, and the next thing you know, they're talking about Robert the Doll. Completely different. So it's just the way they ended it was weird. Now fast forward 4 years to the quarantine episode that we were just watching. What I found interesting is that they get the guy on Skype, Kevin Mannis, and he's sitting there telling him, like, okay,
that he could die.
He could die. Well, so they say he's given Zach a second Dybbuk box. And he adds to this story of this Dybbuk box, right? So he's got a second Dybbuk box. And Zach says, what happens if I open them both at the same time? And the guy says, you will die.
You can die.
You can die. And he starts talking about how the Dybbuk, the two boxes are representing of the 10 parts of the Kabbalah tree of life, right? Where like the big wine cabinet was the top part of the tree, and then the smaller Dybbuk box was
no,
the
there's supposed to be
roots.
like 10. There's 10 boxes.
Yeah, the 10
And
boxes represent
Yes.
the 10
and so there's gonna be
parts
10,
of the Kabbalah's tree of life.
Right.
So, like I said, the wine cabinet was the top. The other one was the root cabinet or root box that represents the bottom of the tree. And supposedly, this guy has the other, like 6 of the other 10 boxes were given to him by random people, and there's still 2 boxes out there in the world somewhere.
And they're all 10 combined encompass evil.
Yeah. So apparently, like this old Jewish lady that's escaped from Poland, her and her friend supposedly like
Save the world.
well,
trap evil
they
in
were
10
trying.
boxes.
They were trying to do something, and they unleashed this evil into the world, and then they trapped it into 10 different boxes and sent them to all corners of the earth, and that they think that apparently this old Jewish lady thought that a lot of the bad natural disasters that happened were because of this evil that was contained in these boxes, like the war in Cabal.
It
So
sounds
where do I rent this movie at? I want to see
It's
it.
called The Jew and the 10 Boxes.
I mean, this actually does sound like a great movie,
Right?
plotline. I mean,
Yeah, I know.
honestly.
This plot sounds
I,
great.
I really like it. I'm really digging this.
We unleashed evil amongst the earth, and we trapped them in 10 boxes and sent all 10. Why can't they just do one? Or
Right.
2.
It sounds a lot like Harry Potter, the
Yeah.
Deathly Hallows, the 7 Horcruxes.
Yeah. I'm digging this story.
But basically, like, if they were to get all 10 boxes together and open all 10 boxes at the same time, the world would see, like, an evil that it's never seen before. Dun, dun, dun. I don't buy it. I just don't. So here's the thing.
I'd like to open all 10 of these now.
I don't know that there's 10. I don't know
I
this
don't
guy that
know.
actually has 6
No,
boxes.
I don't
that
think this even exists. I think this is all bullshit, and
So,
they just had another box with all this.
so like I said, he's got the 2 boxes, right? And you see him open both boxes in the quarantine episode, right?
Great.
Now, if the one thing that this girl did point out in her YouTube video, and this is why I went and watched both these episodes. So the trigger object that Kevin brought with him in the 2016 episode and put on top of the Dybbuk
Was
box
that box?
was the supposed second Dybbuk box. So in 2016 it was just a trigger object, but 4 years later it's a Dybbuk box.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I call bullshit. Call
Well,
bullshit.
here's where it gets even better. Kevin Mannis is a recording artist and a writer. He has come out and said, this was on a post from October 24th, 2015. So before he was ever
On his Facebook.
on his Facebook. This is before he was ever on Zach Bagans' show. And on the Zach Bagans' show, you saw that he was very adamant that this thing is real, right? He says, I am the original creator of the story of the Dybbuk Box, which appeared as one of my eBay posts back in 2003. The idea that Dybbuk boxes have some kind of history prior to my story, and the idea that a Dybbuk box could contain anything other than a Dybbuk, along with any deviation to the type of contents I created to be found inside of a Dybbuk box is laughable at best. How about this? If you or anyone else can find any reference to a Dybbuk box anywhere in history prior to my eBay post, I will pay you $100,000 and tattoo your name on my forehead.
Interesting.
So this article that I sent to you guys, this is actually, someone says he interviewed Kevin Mannis and Jason Haxton and Zach Bagans. Apparently this guy straight up told the
That
journalist
he invented this.
that he invented the story. It's completely fake.
Or did he invent the
He says like the Hebrew.
Did he invent the story behind it, or was this actually like a real object that he got and then just fabricated the
Well, see, it's
story
said that he bought
and gave it the name the Dybbuk Box?
It said that he did buy it from a yard sale, but he bought it from a lawyer, not from some granddaughter of a Holocaust.
Because I wonder because it wouldn't matter who he bought it from, because that wouldn't make the difference. It's the matter of, is this box actually like what it is actually had what it was in it, like, but just didn't have a name to it, and he just gave it that name.
Maybe. Because like I said, well, it
sounds
kind of
like-
would matter because he said he bought it from the granddaughter of a Holocaust survivor, and that granddaughter said, "This is a Dybbuk box. Don't open it." But the other story is that he just bought it from some lawyer. That he just thought it was a cool wine box. Some people have actually done some research into this, and they claim that the box had never seen Spain. They say it was just a mini bar that was made in New York in the 1950s.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this Kevin Mannis guy basically said he fabricated the whole story. Apparently, he is actually Jewish, and he does study the Kabbalah or Kabbalism, if that's the right term.
I think it's
So,
Kabbalah.
which is funny because the Haxton guy thinks that maybe he did get it and there was nothing attached to it, but this guy, the Kevin Mannis, manifested whatever is attached to the box. When or where this thing got an attachment, I have no idea. But from our experience, I can tell you, yeah, there is a spirit attached to this box.
Yeah, and it wasn't that I could sense like a spirit per se, but more of just the energy that was coming off of it.
But there's definitely something going on with this box.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, the energy was pumping out, and not just like energy that you can feel, but energy that we could record with a scientific device.
Yeah, because like as I was egging it on, it was getting stronger. It was pretty cool.
Well, they do show that in the quarantine episode. But again, I don't know why they made a big deal about opening the box because like,
Everyone keeps opening
in
it.
the 2016 episode, they straight up show Kevin Mannis opening the box. And I talked about how he just started spitting out these random weird words and stuff. Come to find out, like I said, he is a writer, and it's a short story / poem that he wrote about 4 years before this, so like in 2012. He just basically
He's giving himself a free plug.
he just started, and from what I was reading in this article, Kevin didn't know that they were recording. He went down to the basement by himself. He didn't know that they were recording him with a security camera. Because at one point he even says, like, he starts just randomly talking. He's like, I don't know if you guys can hear me or not, but I got something important I need to tell you. And then he didn't hear from Zach or anybody. So I think then he just started quoting his poem. And it's called the Shadow Man Part 1, I believe. And he basically started quoting one of his own.
Probably just
works of
like
art.
a nervous thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this random stuff that he started spitting out was something that he had written 4 years prior.
And they
to
made
this
it
event.
sound like he's being possessed.
Well, they were saying that like he was doing some kind of like ritualistic incantation to invoke the Dybbuk. And really, it was just a poem that he had written.
But the Dybbuk in Judaism is a real thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess you could. I mean, I don't know. I don't know Judaism, but I'm wondering if you could actually, trap a spirit in a device.
So what's that? Did you guys ever watch that one show on Travel Channel where this group of paranormal investigators were trying to trap spirits into devices?
Those hillbillies.
Yeah. Oh, that was hard to watch.
Yeah, I know.
And then they got
exactly
another
what
show afterwards.
They had
got
some
another
box
show.
that they put crystal in, and they were like saying.
Oh,
like,
every
trapping
episode
spirits
was something new. Every episode was some kind of new device. All right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get the spirit to come over here and say boo, and when it says boo, we're gonna get a trap door to open on it, and it's gonna fall in here, and we're gonna fill up with water. Even ghosts can't swim, so it's gonna drown.
That's hilarious. That was like with that Ghostbuster device that actually traps.
I don't remember what these
It's
guys
like-
were called, what the show was, but
Fear Nate, no.
it wasn't Fear Nation. It was.
Hillbilly hand fishing ghost. Hillbilly ghost fishing.
I can't remember what it was called. It's not even worth it. It was just like
It was horrible, is
it
what
was
it was.
terrible.
And yeah,
But they always claim that they could trap ghosts. I remember.
And
watching
every
it.
episode was the fail. It was hilarious because at the end of the episode, like, no, we didn't catch it this time.
No, we definitely got it, and then it would show them take it back to their hideout, their little hut in the woods.
Yeah, they go run. It's trapped in this mere bowling ball.
Yeah,
Like,
they
run with the
always do,
bowling
like-
ball back to the shed. All right, we're gonna crack this open. We're gonna get this ghost out of here.
They do the reveal, and there's nothing. We didn't get it.
Yeah, I'm so confused what they're trying to do with this trapping the spirit. I don't get it.
Yeah, and then every episode there's scratches. I don't get it. Why? I don't know how it didn't work.
I don't know why I keep losing my teeth either.
That's from Alabama. Sorry to all of our Alabama fans.
So this Kevin Mannis gentleman sounds a little on the suspect side.
Well, he is an author. He's a writer,
Mm-hmm.
and
So he sounds suspect, but
straight up says that he fabricated the whole
Yeah.
story.
But the fact that a Dybbuk is a real thing, and I don't see why you wouldn't be able to trap an evil Dybbuk in a box. And then this particular one has some crazy energy off of it. It's interesting.
Now, I'm not saying it's not possible to trap or attach an entity to an object.
Uh-huh.
These hillbillies is obviously running about the wrong way.
Sure.
But, like in the case of the Dybbuk that my friend Jimmy has, this guy like actually looked it up online, followed like the supposed like ritual or incantations or exactly what you needed to do to conjure Dybbuk and trap it into a box. And when this guy did everything step by step, including like collecting sand or whatever from Jerusalem, like he did everything that he found online that said how to create a Dybbuk box.
Wow.
Apparently some weird shit started happening, and that's when he contacted Jimmy, and he's like, I want you to have this, and basically gave it to her for free. He just did not want this thing anymore. And that's the one that we saw at the Paranormal Convention like 3 years ago.
And does she say anything about it?
So we did get a chance, so I didn't investigate it, but I did see the box, and there was definitely some sort of energy coming off of it. However, I felt her Popo the Killer Clown doll was more active, like more of a threat, I guess, than the Dybbuk box was.
That might have to be another episode.
Popo?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can do that.
Interesting.
Popo the Killer Clown doll. So apparently Dybbuks can kill people. I don't know, but
Like the research you did on Dybbuks themselves, anything you read about them, like are they mischievous or like what's
malevolent.
oh, they're malevolent.
Yes.
That's not good.
I think that was actually on one of those Jewish websites that I was looking at.
Are you on those Jewish dating sites?
It's on Jewish dating sites for Dybbuk.
Is that your handle? Dybbuk Buster.
Dybbuk Buster 103 because there's 102 ahead of me. No, but yeah, they're malevolent spirits.
Okay.
They're not
Okay.
nice.
All right.
If that's what you're asking,
Yeah, I'm just curious if there's
you don't want to make friends with one.
because you hear things like leprechauns, like some seem like they're just little pranksters, and some are like no, they're pretty bad. They're trying to hurt people. They come in their
Don't touch their
Shower.
gold. Don't touch their gold.
So I was just curious if there's any like stories behind Dybbuks, like their personalities. But malevolent, that's not.
It
that's
sounds
not good.
like
Well, some of the stuff I
originally,
read, it basically sounds like it's.
if you just have an
Jewish.
attachment, you just throw your attachment in a box.
Yep.
And
Well,
then your
and-
attachment could be
Well,
it
and
could be a human spirit or it could be an unhuman spirit. But I think those are the ones that have issues. There's probably 10 of them out there. There's only 10 of them out there.
10 original Dybbuk boxes. Everything else is just a fake.
Yeah, I mean, I found a bunch of YouTube videos, and it was people trying to open up Dybbuk boxes, and you can buy.
Oh,
You can buy them on eBay.
Okay, did you
I was
see
about to
this
say, I
one?
think on eBay
Did
right
you
now.
see this one episode where this guy opened? It was he did a YouTube video where he opened up a Dybbuk box, and then crazy stuff started happening in his apartment as he was opening it. Like behind him, as he was sitting there recording himself,
yes.
I did not see that.
there was a frame that lifted up and off the wall,
Yes, I did see that.
and then something else.
This guy
happened.
has actually
He
has a
ran-
few videos. This guy has a few videos.
Yeah, he has a bunch of videos.
He's a pretty big YouTube following.
Yeah, that's why he did this. That he this is the type of shit he does. So this was one of his videos he did, and when he filmed it, all that weird shit happened and he ran out. But it is hard to say that maybe he could have staged all this just for the views.
and likes.
And then, but he was even on that paranormal caught on camera show on Travel Channel and talked about it there. I'm trying to make it sound like that was all real, but who knows?
Nobody knows.
Okay, so I'm on eBay.
Are you gonna buy one?
I just bought one. I'm just kidding. There's a ton of these. Yeah. You want to hear a couple stories?
Oh,
These are the descriptions.
These are description
These
stories.
are, so if you go to eBay right now and you search Dybbuk Box, guess what you're gonna find? Some Dybbuk boxes for sale. So here's
Somebody's just capitalizing on other people's stupidity.
Here's one, and it looks just like a little chest, a little burned around the edges, a little effect there. Here's the description. This must go. This is the most heinous and vile box I've owned. This box came from upstate New York and was discovered in the 50s. The house it came from burned down by the wife with her and her husband inside.
With singed edges around the box.
Perfectly singed edges.
The box survived.
After she found him having an affair, she went mentally ill and decided to end her life and the life of her husband. The wife practiced witchcraft and was said that she cast a spell on her husband before the burning.
Like, this is beautifully written.
It's very well.
I cast a spell
her
on you,
description.
and now you're mine.
He knows a lot about this, or this person knows a lot about this.
He knows
This
a lot
box
of
was found in the 50s.
Yeah. She also put a spell on herself in order for her to forever haunt the woman her husband had an affair with. This box is pure evil.
That sounds like some petty bullshit right there.
Yeah.
I have never witnessed so much dark and vile, that's the second time they use that word vile, activity before in my life. This box is kept under glass or outside of my home. This is not a toy or game. The activity is real and heavy. Laughter is heard along with constant cold spots, dark mist figure, and emotional attachments.
How much do these cost?
Hold on. This has the ability to attach itself onto others. How did you know that? This box here is...
If it has the ability to touch others, then why is it still on the box?
Yeah.
It's only $100.
$100 plus $15 for shipping.
Let me see that. Let me see that picture.
Zoom in. Let's look
Hold
at
on. Let me see your phone. Okay. So
And the
here's
picture's
the interesting
outside.
is, I don't know about you. I don't know that this is an actual like Dybbuk box, but there is some energy I'm feeling just off of the view of the camera. And I don't know what it is, to be honest with you, but
It's a cat.
it could be.
It's a cat hanging out in the bushes.
That's possible.
Very shit.
But there's not. I don't think there's any spirit attached to that.
Yeah, so there's some interesting stuff here. Some interesting Dybbuk boxes.
What's the like return policy on this?
Here's one. Just says wooden box sealed with wax, darkness within, your soul to tax.
Don't do
Little
it open,
rhyme.
dead inside.
Dybbuk box. Yeah.
Can we talk about when Zach opened the box?
Okay.
Like they had their static meter and they put it all around the box before they opened it and they got nothing. And then after they opened it, they said that the temperature of the box went up like 6 degrees on the thermal camera. And then their static meter was going off all around the box.
The what's it called? The one voice that came through wasn't even a voice. It was like a
Yeah, it just sounded
static
like they're,
clip. Like
they were using
it sounded like it said Kevin.
So they were using something similar to a spirit box. I can't remember what it was called.
Right.
But they're like, oh my god, it said Kevin, and it just sounded like a little blip in
It's like a
white noise.
It's Kevin.
That said Kevin. I thought it was interesting when they're like, before he opens it, he just looks at Aaron. He's like, "Shut up! Don't say that. Why are you talking?" And Aaron's like, "I didn't say anything." The overacting. of that was just
Overacting.
So,
Always over. It's always bad. It's always bad.
like he picks up the box and starts walking around the museum with it.
No, who was it that was fainting?
Aaron
Aaron.
passed out.
I black out. As he gradually, slowly makes his way to the carpet and lays down carefully.
And Zach's
I
like,
blacked
I
out.
didn't even notice or care that Aaron was passed out on the floor. And it's like, dude, lay down to take a nap. What are you talking about?
Yeah, he looked like he laid down real easy. I wouldn't care either.
And then he's like telling Billy to touch the box. He's like, touch it, touch the box. I know. That's such a...
Sniff it. Sniff the base of it.
So last week I watched this spoof movie called The Haunted House 2 with Shawn Wayne,
Yeah.
and they were spoofing the Dybbuk Box. And they had the girl in the bedroom, and she has her box that she found at the house, and the box starts talking to her, and she's like, it's like Megan or whatever the girl's name was. She's like, Megan, it's me, your box. And she's like, oh, okay. He's like, I want you to touch me. And she reaches down and starts touching himself. He's like, wrong box.
She fucked.
It was so bad.
If it wasn't for some interesting little stories, go search Dybbuk Box on eBay. There's some great stories in the descriptions.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, some of these are
They
long.
know. They know the past on these.
Yeah.
Like they lived it themselves.
Right, just like Kevin Mannis.
Yeah, just like he lived his.
It's like over the course of like 20 years here, he's he just keeps adding to the story on where this thing came from and the other Dybbuk boxes, and like I said, this guy is like a professional writer. This is what he does.
It's funny how all these Dybbuk boxes though, they all look like they're just like
Too fancy.
No. They look in bad shape. Like why isn't there some fancy boxes?
Right? Why do they all have to look so beat up and weathered?
Yes, exactly.
So like they make it spooky.
Like this one has nails around it that were half hammered into the side and then folded over the lid.
That's how you seal it
these
in.
nails.
That's how
Yeah.
you seal it in.
With
That's
nails.
why you see a lot of them that have the red wax on it. That's how you seal it in.
With nails that are
Yeah.
half nailed in.
Mhm. That's what keeps the Dybbuk inside.
Stainless
There's like a
steel.
plethora of Jewish demons running around that are trapped in boxes now.
Yes.
If they're actually demons.
But
Like I said, some websites say they're demons, some say they're just wandering, restless
But-
souls of a living person.
Did you hear about these before Kevin Mannis's Dybbuk Box?
I never did.
Yeah, exactly.
I never did until that.
Nope, but that one came from the 50s, so.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
I
let's
think
tell-
all these other ones, people are just like, oh, look, it's famous and fun, so let's make a Dybbuk Box and sell it.
Yeah, there's a bunch of
Yeah.
schmoes that are on YouTube that will just gobble these up for hundreds of dollars.
And then open it on their YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Oh, inside the original Dybbuk Box, well, I guess Kevin opened it the first time, there was like 2 pennies from like 1928 or something like that, and like some stone or something that said Shalom on it. And then there was hair in there. Apparently, like the stone, that's like one of the things that Kevin does. Like I guess he put that in there. That's like one of his signature moves. One of his friends apparently knew. There was like 2 of his friends knew that he was going to do all this, and one of his friends donated the hair. So the hair came from one of his friends apparently.
There's a dried rose.
Yeah, there's all sorts of weird stuff in there. And like I said, I don't know where.
But no wine.
No
Damn it.
wine. No mini bar. Nothing. But yeah, I don't know. There's definitely something attached to the box. There is energy.
But there's something there now. Whether it was really there or if it was just fabricated story, there is some energy happening with that Dybbuk Box
Well,
back in this museum.
It's possible. Like there could have originally been nothing, and then you just focus so much energy into this thing that you create something.
You put your own energy into it.
It's like I asked my friend Jimmy once about Zozo, which is supposedly like the worst demon of all time, and her response basically was, "It's the rubber ducky demon." So basically, you can take a rubber duck and you manifest your energy. You put so much energy into this, and you get people believing that this item has something possessed to it, that it actually becomes something. So it's possible. Like I don't know, I would have to see old pictures of the box when I first got it to see if there's like any energy on it then, or if this is just something because it's been given so much attention that it's manifested this energy over the years.
Interesting.
I just don't know.
Interesting. What do the viewers and listeners think?
Yes, that's what you think, David. Not Dave Ward. Not Dave that was on the show, another Dave. Tell us what you think, though. What do you think about Dybbuk Box? What do you think it is? Or if there's something we missed that enlighten us, like, because we're just going off of kind of what we know.
Mm-hmm.
So if we've missed something, let us know.
Yes, call us out.
Well,
Or if we're pretty accurate, confirm it. We like that validation.
Just don't go out and buy one and put it on YouTube. Like
Yeah.
the EVPers told us to. No,
Yeah,
we didn't.
no, don't.
But if you
don't
want
waste
to, I would like to see it.
I want the whole story. Too.
Yeah, I want to hear the story behind it, and I want to see you open it.
I want to hear.
But do it on your own accord, not because I asked you to, because you wanted to.
Yes.
Consent, please. Alright, should we call that then?
Yes.
I think so.
Alright, well, thanks for listening and watching. Go see, don't play that.
Peace out, butterflies.
Ooh.